Hello, hello, and welcome back to Monifactory or Monifactory. I don't even know what the right way to say it is anymore. Does this look like a mess? Just a little bit. Okay. So I'm coming back from a couple week of not posting videos. It's been weird. I got kind of sick and then just haven't been feeling 100%. So I kind of took a little bit of a break there, but I was trying to make some videos in between, and that's why everything looks crazy right now. And there might be some new stuff going on, but those videos not happening. I'm not editing those. There's like a block in my brain telling me that I can't do it, so it's not gonna happen. We're just gonna start over again. Don't worry though, I'm not gonna skip over anything that you might have missed. I'm gonna do it all again, basically. So, where was I even? If my timeline is right, we should have built the blast furnace last episode. And this thing is making aluminum for us, which we'll need to progress into the next tier above LV. I believe that when I made aluminum dust in the episode, whatever I did it in, there's a little error somewhere because I was in easy mode. Here we go. Yeah, I think in easy mode, this is changed to an LV recipe. So I was electrolyzing clay dust to get aluminum, but this is an MV recipe normally. So we weren't able to do that to get more aluminum. Instead, the way that you're supposed to do it in hard mode is by electrolyzing sapphire dust somewhere. Yeah, sapphire dust gives you 2 aluminum dust. So that is the way that you're supposed to do it, and that's an LV recipe, so you're able to do that in an LV electrolyzer. But now that we do have some aluminum, we are able to make the advanced electrolyzer, allowing us to electrolyze clay dust. And that is where all these machines come in. Now, this is something I was trying to work on in the other episodes, but I'm going to try my best to recap and explain what's going on here. So basically, aluminum is a renewable resource. Because it comes from clay dust, we can actually make clay with a series of machines. So we have a macerator here, which is going to crush our clay into dust, and then that's going to go into the electrolyzer here in a minute. But we can use a chemical reactor to react dust and water to get clay, and then dust comes from hammering cobblestone all the way through the tiers, and then we get cobblestone infinitely from a rock crusher. So all these machines together are making some clay dust. This one's actually turned off right now. Let's get that going again. And then once we get that electrolyzer, we'll be able to infinitely make aluminum, which I think I was very close to being able to do. I have all of the aluminum I need, I think. Before I can make this though, this MV machine hole takes covered copper cables, and this is something that I automated in between episodes, so I'm going to go and redo that now because I actually destroyed everything anyway. So to cover our cables automatically, we need a way to generate liquid rubber. How we're going to do this is with a chemical reactor, and this combines sulfur and raw rubber pulp to get liquid rubber. Then the raw rubber pulp we're going to get from centrifuging sticky resin. So let me see if I can get these right again. Okay, so I think I got this how I want it. So the sticky resin, which we get from the rubber trees, is going to go into a centrifuge. That makes the raw rubber pulp, and this is going to get auto output into the chemical reactor. This also makes some glue, which we can output as a fluid to an assembler below it. And we can use these assemblers to craft resin-printed circuit boards easier, which we use for the LV circuits. Instead of needing all this fine copper wire, we just need a little bit of foil and 1 plank, and that is so much cheaper than the other way. Everything in this is going to be about making something to make the past thing easier. So now our raw rubber pulp and sulfur go together to make liquid rubber, and this is going to go into another assembler where we can get that liquid rubber and then make some covered cables. So yeah, and that's how we're going to get these covered cables from... So yeah, that's how we're going to get these covered cables from now on. Instead of... How were we making them before even? Something with rubber sheets. It was bad. I remember that, yeah. and not cheap. This is way better. So with that, I should have everything to make a MV machine. Oh, and I batch crafted a whole bunch of these MV circuits. Oh, diodes and stuff. Oh man, I gotta go over that too. Jeez. Anyway, advanced electrolyzer. Let me talk about making MV circuits. Because you kind of need those to make this. I'm so good at YouTube. So the first MV circuits you're going to craft are going to cost 3 LV circuits, but they're also going to use a couple new components. The first is diodes, which are made in an assembler with liquid glass, and small piles of gallium arsenide. And then gallium arsenide is made with arsenic and gallium, 2 resources that are not too bad, too complicated to get. The arsenic you get from Gauger dust, which you can mine in the world, and then the gallium comes from sphalerite, also an ore in the world. So those are just 2 minerals you have to mine up. You get your gallium arsenide, you get your diodes, and then you make some circuits, but you also need phenolic circuit boards. That takes silver and these phenolic boards. Phenol is a chemical made from a pyrolysis oven, which we had but destroyed. And this one's just a multi-block like the blast furnace. You build this up and then you cook some wood in it. This is basically like an electric coke oven is what this is. And then you burn some logs, you get some wood tar, and then you distill that wood tar into phenol. I think that's how that works. Somehow you get phenol. So I think that covers all of that, how we got those MV circuits. And that's how we get the advanced electrolyzer, which will be able to start electrolyzing this clay dust. But first we need a source of MV power, because we're not going to be able to power this with our LV cables. These only carry 32 volts. And the recipe, if we look at it, for electrolyzing clay dust, takes 60 EU per tick. I think no, that's not even the right one. Pick the right one. It takes 60 EU per tick. And so these LV cables cannot supply that. So what we need is a higher tier cable. So in LV, we're using these conductive iron wires because they are a lossless cable. This just means that as it travels along, it doesn't lose any amperage or volts throughout the entire line. If we were to use a different wire here, every time the energy passes through, it loses a little bit of energy every cable. So we don't want that. So in the MV age, we need energetic alloy, capable of holding 128 volts, and is the superconductor, so it's not going to be losing any energy. How do we make this? Gold dust, redstone dust, and glowstone dust, and then we have to use that in the blast furnace. Once we are mixing up some energetic alloy dust, we're going to put this in the blast furnace in order to smelt it. Now our blast furnace is not working 100% yet. We still have a bit of a power issue, and I went ahead and upgraded to a couple more steel steam boilers. So we have 6 now, running into 4 turbine generators. And even this is probably not going to be enough to constantly run our blast furnace, just because of how much power it takes. All of these are going to be working at 100% capacity. We should be able to get at least a couple ingots of this stuff so that we can make a couple wires. And then once it starts doing that, I'm pretty sure that means it's out of power and we got to let it recharge. I am, however, going to need enough cables to go from here to here. Uh-oh. So we are definitely going to need a better power source once we start getting into these MV machines, and I think hopefully that's something I'm going to get to today. I need an achievement right now in order to motivate me. So while we're waiting on some wires to craft up, we are also going to need a power source that is MV as well. These turbine generators are working at LV. Well, yeah, duh. But this is not enough to output the same amount of MV power. So we're going to need an MV power source, and we can use the advanced steam turbine generator, which is going to consume a lot of steam, but it's going to output 128 EU per tick. So we're going to grab one of these. I need a couple of MV motors, copper, nickel. All right, I have some mining to do, I think. I will return once I have that guy and hopefully some more energetic alloy. One thing I forgot to mention is that the raw rubber pulp recipe also makes plant balls. We don't want these to go into our chemical reactor. So we're going to use a drawer for this because we can't auto output to two sides. The storage drawers have a neat little item, if I can find where I put it, that allows you to pull or push from these machines. So we have a puller upgrade right here, pointed down. So this is going to pull from the centrifuge. And because we have plant balls in here, it should only pull plant balls into this drawer. So we shouldn't have to worry about them going into the chemical reactor. The ideal setup would be to have drawers like this on all the sides and have each one connected to one. But I don't have the drawers for that. I don't have drawer keys yet or void upgrades or anything. So I'm not going to worry about doing that yet. But for a cleaner setup, that's what we would go for. I just made a buttload of copper nickel to put into the wire mill for all those MV machines we need, over the motors at least. All right, so we should be able to get our first MV electric motors. Assuming I remember to make 2 of them. Man, I really got to get a better storage system. Oh my. All right, there's the turbine generator. And I'm going to attach this on top of all of our other ones. And we'll need to connect our steam as well. So I'm going to borrow some of this. So then if I plug this in, up here, this is going to start generating some MV power. Or 128 EU per tick. And this is definitely going to use a lot of steam. So hopefully we aren't losing too much, or else I'll need to make some more boilers. But now is where we get to connect it up to our electrolyzer all the way over here. Why I didn't flip this the other way around, I'll never know. But it's too late now. I'm not doing it. Hopefully I can get away with just using these single wires. But before we start connecting these up, what we want to do is make sure that these LV wires do not connect to the wires we're about to put down. MV power plus LV cable basically means kaboom. So we don't want that. So we want to make sure that this does not connect if I plug this in. And let me actually make sure 100% that that's not gonna happen. Nope, it is gonna happen. How do I not do that? Okay, I think the right way to do it, please don't explode, is just to make sure that you aren't connecting them to the LV cables, because if you right click on a cable with a wire, it's going to connect it. But by default, these shouldn't auto connect. So we should be fine here. But yeah, these cables do not auto connect, I'm realizing, so you don't have to worry about pre-setting them before you place them down. But all we need to do is get this cable all the way over to our electrolyzer over here. Oh, just barely. Almost. Need one more. The good news is that once this is plugged in, we basically have an infinite source of aluminum. Need to auto output this clay into the electrolyzer. Does this need water as well? No, it doesn't. Good. But this is going to be a very basic setup for automating aluminum. And then aluminum is basically infinite now, so we can make lots of MV machines. We can upgrade our power to MV as well. It's going to be slow at first, but once we get there, we're going to get there. Somebody quote that and put that on a shirt. Once we get there, we're going to get there. Whoops. All right. Good. Beautiful. This is, of course, going to draw on our power quite a lot because of how much it's using. We can see our steam is getting eaten up out the wazoo. This is fine, though, because we are making aluminum. We're making a couple other things, lithium, sodium, and silicon. We don't need these technically right away. I'm sure we will sometime in the future. And then the water we're also going to want to void. So let me turn this off so it doesn't completely eat my power. So because this recipe outputs water, we want to get rid of that. So we can have this auto output to the top into a fluid trash can. That should just get rid of that. And then we can have all of our dusts go into a chest for now, since those are going to fill up pretty fast. And then look at how much aluminum we have already. Wonderful. Turn that off again so I can actually smelt up some of this aluminum. So I'm going to need to sit here and painfully generate some aluminum in the blast furnace. Just very slowly turning this off and on when we run out of power, until I have enough to make a couple more machines. So I think I'm just going to need 2 more in order to get a better power source going. And then we can run this thing as much as we want, and we basically have infinite aluminum. And then this power source is also going to be renewable. And I'll go over that once we get there. Let me get some more aluminum first. So now I can talk about our plan for making power at MV tier. So with this distillery, we're able to make benzene, and then we can use benzene in a gas turbine to generate power. Now there are other gases that we can use, and I'm not even sure that benzene is the best one here power-wise, but it is a renewable source of power because benzene comes from wood tar, and then wood tar is made in the pyrolysis oven from logs. And then logs we can automatically generate now with a greenhouse. This multi-block will allow us to simulate growing trees. So yeah, we'll be able to use energy to produce logs, and then logs into wood tar into benzene, benzene for MV power. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't, I'm going to be out of luck. So aside from the distillery, which is going to turn wood tar into benzene, we actually need the pyrolysis oven to generate the wood tar. And then we'll need a source of logs from the greenhouse. So that's going to be a whole multi-block we have to build up. Not excited for that. So let me build the pyrolysis oven again. So we're going to have to use 2 LV output hatches for this because we don't have access to MV hatches for multi-blocks just yet. But soon we should be able to get maybe an MV transformer. I don't know. But I should connect this up. These should get power. This thing should run. And if we get some logs in here, we should be able to generate wood tar. And then that wood tar is going to come out the back, where it's going to go into a distillery to make benzene. Let me give this a shot. Alright, logs in the input bus. Circuit, 9. How do I get a circuit in this one? There we go. So yeah, we can see we're generating some charcoal and wood tar. That should automatically output into this distillery, which I need some more energetic alloy cabling. Okay, then this should have power once I connect it with some cables. And then with circuit 3, we can make benzene in here. And then we just need a way to use this benzene to generate power with a gas turbine. So I should have all the parts now to craft the gas turbine generator. Assuming I didn't use the other motor already. Whoops. There we go. We can grab that guy. And I also made an LV transformer, which allows us to convert 1 amp of MV power into 4 amps of LV power. So if I hook up this turbine generator next to our distillery, and I have this auto output, this should start producing some power. There we go. And then in theory, I'm going to disconnect this just in case. But because our pyrolysis oven needs to run on LV power with these energy hatches, we're going to use a transformer to get that energy to go down. We just need to output our power to the bottom, and have this output to the bottom as well. Once I figure out how to connect this, there we go. So this should now be outputting 4 amps of LV power into our pyrolysis oven. And this should actually be able to sustain itself now, because the pyrolyzed oven only uses 64 EU per tick, I believe. Yeah, 64 EU per tick, and the turbine makes 128, so this should be able to work on its own, so long as we have logs in here. It should be able to produce some benzene for us. And then what we can also do is disconnect this guy and reconnect it up here at the top, so that this is all powering itself. Muffler hatch is obstructed. Oh, okay. I forgot you can't cover the muffler hatch back here, so we have to figure out a different way to output this. So now technically all that's left is to get an automatic source of logs with the greenhouse, and then this thing should be able to sustain itself fully, and we'll have power coming out the wazoo. I'm not going to hook up our other stuff yet, just until we have this fully going, because I don't want to use all of our power before we can generate more. So our greenhouse is coming along. I have to craft a whole bunch of these solid machine casings, which takes a lot of steel. I think it was like 2, maybe 3 stacks of steel total. That's a lot. The other thing we need for the greenhouse is tempered glass, which we haven't made before. It's pretty simple though. We just need a arc furnace with oxygen gas in it. And oxygen we get by electrolyzing water. And then this should start producing some tempered glass. This also produces hydrogen gas, but we don't need this, so we can output this. So I'm just missing the input hatches now, but we can start building our greenhouse. I'm going to build this so that we can connect it up to the pyrolyzed oven easy with the output. Now the multi-block pattern for this says that you need 1 ULV energy input hatch. But you actually need 2 LV ones, and that's because this thing runs at 80 EU per tick, and 1 LV energy hatch is not enough to keep up with that. So it's going to work like the blast furnace, or we need 2 of them for now because we don't have access to the MV energy hatches. So now that we have a better source of MV power, I've moved my blast furnace over here, and this thing seems to be able to run at 100% now. It's eating our benzene production right now just because I don't have infinite logs. But once we get those going, we're going to be looking really, really good. And this thing isn't even using like that much benzene at a time. We still have 4,000 in there. So I think that's actually going to do it for today's episode. I know I wanted to get into MV power, and I got a lot going on behind me. But I'm going to talk about that in the next episode because I tried to make all this, and I don't think it's working properly. So we're going to try something else. That's for next episode. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I'm getting back into it, and I will see you next time. Goodbye. So then, to get our greenhouse working, all we have to do is put a oak sapling in here with the right circuit, and then give it an infinite source of water with the aqueous accumulator. And then we get infinite logs, infinite wood tar, infinite benzene, and I added another gas turbine generator. And I got this whole thing working on MV power now. I realized I had to swap this to a high voltage transformer to get this to output 16 volts because each of our multi-blocks are taking 2 volts into each energy hatch. So that's a lot. 2 amps, I guess. That's what I meant. So we have 4 going into the pyro oven, 4 in the greenhouse, and then 4 more for the blast furnace. I still need more gas turbine generators in order to be able to run everything off of this at the same time, but for now it is getting there. And I think with that, that's where I'm going to leave this for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.